Hola, everybody. This is Adunze, aka White Manga, here from Saturday AM, Saturday FM podcast, Making Manga. So, where we break down everything that has to do with making manga from the perspective of people who are actually making it here in the West, published worldwide, books translated, all of that. Manga for everyone, diverse manga, whatever you want to call it, international manga, international award-winning manga. I am the writer and illustrator of Apple Black and co-founder of Saturday AM. And my co-hosts, y'all can introduce yourself, Ray.
What's going on? I'm Ray Brown, creator of Bully Eater, also a co-founder, and as usual, happy to be here.
My name is Jay Oden. I am not a co-founder, but I am a part of the board, and it is pretty awesome. I am the creator of Hammer, and I also draw manga like the Rick and Morty manga, and a lot of other random stuff. So yeah, that's who I am.
Yeah, Jay's done a lot.
Yes.
Some of which you may have seen. Rick and Morty's pretty big.
But I wish I were old enough to remember the Professional. Like that's like
the movie
with
movie
Natalie Portman.
The assassin movie.
Yeah. Like I just picture Jay like looking like him, just kind of like with the toboggan on and like the dark shades. The Professional. So, but yeah, nobody's gonna get that reference.
That movie is it would be very sus today.
You ain't lying.
Very sus today.
Yes.
Yeah. I don't know if that'll fly.
Nah, bro. Keep that one in the vault. Keep that one in the Disney vault right there, buddy. That should come out.
Let's just pretend that didn't happen. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's why when you said Professional, I was like, that movie, you sure? But yeah, it was low key a good movie, but it was still kind of weird in some places. But yeah, today we'll be talking about all things manga as usual, and today the focus would be about the CoryXKenshin stuff. We've actually talked about this before, but we didn't air it because a lot of news, a lot of things happen and updates happen, and sometimes when you talk about stuff before it's out, all of a sudden it's irrelevant. But we'll still have clips of that in this video just to show full context of our previous discussion, and then we'll talk about the update. But Jay wasn't here in the last one, and Jay, you can explain why you were absent, and then you can then give your 2 cents about the whole situation with his success with his monsters remake, and just the idea of somebody just kind of having their own IP coming out of nowhere in a way, but having a passion project and really finding ways to produce that with all the resources they have. So here is the part where we talked about it before, along with our founder, Frederick L. Jones.
I've seen some people chat about the success of the CoryXKenshin monster remake thing,
right.
And so I'll pass it on to you guys, and want to hear you guys' thoughts about it, and what it means for the upcoming creator, and how they are perceived by the industry, and how it ties into the industry in any way, whether they even need the industry, depending on their size. Because Cory, I believe, last I checked, has like 20 million subscribers. The rollout for the video, I think, was pretty smart, given the access that he had to really get the really cool animation from Line. I think the animation studio out of UK.
That's right.
That did viral worthy stuff with the animation, everything, sound design, all of it looked really cool. Mm-hmm. And it enhanced the whole thing. Some people, as usual, they thought an anime was happening, but really it was just a promotion for the manga itself. And then the video did 20 million subs, did another 13 mil for a video, just kind of reacting to people's reactions and reviews and all his Easter eggs and stuff like that. So it's definitely something where his fans, who already like him and he's already popular, but they got to see that he has a passion for it. So it's like a super passionate project for him, and they can support that way. And to me, there was this news about, maybe selling 200K. That's like just 1% of your subscribers. It's not far-fetched to me at all, but any skepticism is fair. But to me, it's pretty straightforward. And that was for 1 week, so it's probably sold even more. And I'm sure production is going to push through. He's going to keep doing his thing. So I think it's a big W, at least for him. And congrats to him. And I just want to know what you guys thought about it.
Yeah. Do you want to go, Raymond? Or I can go.
No, you go ahead, Fred. I'm the old guy in the room. I'm kind of like, I mean, I know of it for the most part.
You don't know who he is.
Well, I did see what he.
Ray?
All right, check it out. All right, so it's kind of off, but like the way I discovered him was one of those YouTube videos, where they're just sitting there like, and the title is, I quit or something like that or whatever. So I was like, okay, let's see what the big deal is. I saw he had a bunch of followers, so I jumped in, and then I saw that like the dude is like a mega star on YouTube. So, so I found out. I mean, I guess I don't know if he plays a specific game or games in general, but that's all I know about him. And then of course now with him releasing the manga. That's
another thing, right? It's not just random subscribers, and he does something completely left field. It's 20 million subscribers who are mostly nerds and gamers and manga fans and anime fans and all of that. So it's very on brand for him in many ways. And then I believe he gave out it's a bundle. You're buying a bundle for $14.99. You're getting both the physical. And a lot of people sell both separately for sometimes the same price twice.
Mm-hmm.
And so you're getting $14.99 for a physical and digital. And I believe there was a time where you could see a reference number each time you purchased something, right? Because somebody made it like a TikTok about it. And the reference number was almost like a counter for each sale. And that was tracked. I don't know if you can see it anymore, but at the time it was, and this was during like the early days, like the first couple days, it was already like 150. So 200K he's probably blown past that.
You saying it was like 150 the first day?
I don't know if it's the first day. I know it was the first couple of days or something like that. I don't know the exact thing, right? Because it's hard to verify when it's your own website, your own this, your own that. But it's not far at all. I'm not shocked, basically. But yeah, Fred.
Yeah, I mean, so I'm older than Raymond, so let me bring a true old man perspective on it. So there's a lot of controversy around it, but again, it's not controversy about him. It's controversy about the nature of the claim, and I think both you kind of hit on pieces of it. So there are people who don't know this guy, and so they're shocked. I don't know why they're shocked. There are practical aspects that are questionable, but I don't know why they're shocked. If you told me that Sabrina Carpenter sold 1 million copies of a song, I don't know who the hell that is. I just know I've seen her name pop up occasionally. I don't know who the hell she is. Never heard her music, I don't think, so I wouldn't know who that is. I don't know. Doichi was popular for a minute, or people were talking about Doichi more and more. Didn't know who she was. When the Super Bowl happened, SZA, who I have heard SZA, I know who SZA is, but I didn't know all her songs. So like when she popped up the Super Bowl and did some songs with Kanye, I was like, oh, I didn't know that was her. So like, I've said this before to people that, when things are being marketed and you don't know about them, you're not the audience. so point, that's the whole point. You're not the audience. So of course you wouldn't know about it. The claim is the PR claim. I know why some people are been out of shape about it. This is an industry that, as we just talked about, we just spent a little bit of time talking about validation and legitimacy. And so when someone makes a claim that can't be verified, then it's complicated. And there are people who they're in the business of talking about this industry. Now, we can certainly get into, and I don't think we will, but we can certainly get into, why those folks feel entitled to be talking about this industry. No one elected them. They're not the CEO of how people should feel about manga, but yet, they raise concerns about the fact that, like, well, I can't verify this information. And that's not wrong. It just doesn't mean that it's necessarily like, doesn't mean that it's not wrong to have that feeling, but there's some nuance that should be employed there. Especially when we're talking about Black people in manga, which is the elephant in the room that doesn't really get talked about, which is the fact that CoryXKenshin is an African-American who made a manga that's got a very diverse cast. And these are things, again, that you would not normally see out of Japan, hence why we exist. And so there's a question to be had about that. But I don't have a problem with people questioning it, because For one thing, because again, I've been doing this for a long time, and so that claim is interesting for a couple of reasons. Number one, you say, Wyatt, you're like, well, like I can see it because of the numbers. Well, if you've worked in corporate America, and I have, and you've dealt with product that's come out, and I have, then you know that the percentages of conversion are really low. Percentage of a conversion rate of someone having 20 million followers, you're talking like the typical conversion rate is 2 to 3%. So 2 to 3% would not be 200,000. So that's number one. Now
it would.
No, it would not. So,
1%?
But now 2 to 3% on average is what it would be. And so if you took that out, now if you do it based on his anime short,
no. So he has 20 million subscribers.
Mm-hmm.
And 20 million subscribers, forget about the 20 million views, because again, there's still going to be people
Can you hear me?
Didn't know about him who are going to dip their hands and touch it. I can hear you. Can you guys still hear me?
You were breaking up while you need to start.
Yeah.
I was just saying 20 million subscribers, 20 million views.
Right.
So there's still a bunch of people who are also giving them free press because they want part of the hype and the attention and also to show love, but sometimes for their own wants and needs and attention and whatever. And you add all of that, right? Yeah. It's really just 200,000 sales. It's just 1% of what he has.
If he had 3 to 4%, which is the standard, it would be like close to 600, 700,000.
Yeah.
So he's saying he's hit 200,000 in the first week.
I don't know if that's another thing. I don't know if he's saying.
I think that's okay. So that's kind of my point, right? My point here is that, so as we just said, there are cases here where you look at the conversion rates, which is normal, and you're like, well, that doesn't quite add up. Then you look at, again, adds up in different ways, right? Then you say, okay, what happened in the first week? You're like, well, that's strange because that's a weird connection with that. There are titles, some of the biggest titles that have come out right now, like Absolute Batman, has sold hundreds of thousands of copies. It's Batman, right? And it's in stores. This also isn't sold in stores; it's sold directly. So I'm not suggesting that it didn't happen. I'm saying that the people who are questioning it are questioning because they don't have access to the data. And here's how we know this as a group. We know this as a group because we have people who've questioned whether or not Clock Strike is the first Black female lead character in a shonen, even though if they can't make a video, complete enough. It could be 4 hours long, and they still could not disprove that claim. So it's one of those things where people, they hear a claim, they kind of get outraged by it, and they start to trip about whether or not that's accurate or not. And again, I think some of this has the impact of being that, well, this Black guy is saying this, and I hate to say it that way, but like that's what I think some of this is. So how do we know that's real, this, that, and the other? What I would say is that, I think that anything that is continuing to grow the diversity of this market is good. And this young man, as I've said repeatedly to you guys, I'm not a huge fan of YouTubers and that ilk. I don't know if I've ever seen this man's content, but from what I've seen of him, like Raymond, he seems to be a bit more serious than some of the other folks. He's not out there screaming and jumping and doing crazy stuff. Again, I'm old, but to me that's kind of a non-starter when you start doing crazy shit. I'm like, I can't take this seriously. But this young man put all the right effort in. He's got, like you said, he hired line, which is that's a power move. He's got creators working on it. Again, it's him selling it. And so that's going to be the question, as I've said before, it's him selling it. This is him. I don't know if many people know the name of the manga, and I don't know if anyone can tell you who worked on the title. I don't know if anyone knows who the artist is. I've never heard one thing that actually mentions.
I actually who the artist is. Do you know why?
I know he's from the video. I know he showed some of the people who are on the team, writers and artists and editors.
So it's not all drawn by one person. It's
I'm pretty sure it's not drawn by one person. I know he's writing it, and then he's writing it with another guy named Cory as well.
Yeah, that's the kid from North Caesar, Raymond.
Right.
Yes.
Yep. Okay.
So so I just think that like I said, for me, again, like I said, I'm always happy to see diversity happening, and again, like I said, he didn't, unlike a lot of folks that have come after or tried to take on Saturday AM, he didn't come into it being like, we're bigger than Saturday AM, so so like I can respect all of that, but like I said, the people who I think have questioned it from my sort of generation and professional background, I think they are asking questions that, again, for that claim to have gone out the way that it was, they're like, wait a minute, you can't make a claim that then can't be verified or validated. And that's just kind of the situation with it. And again, it's complicated because, like I said, this is really him. I don't know if it's the property. I don't know if the IP actually is that strong as him. I think you had an exchange back and forth with somebody, and they made a point. They made a point about the concern being, again, not sure why it's their concern, but the concern being that, this would be like, and we've seen this is not new. We've seen this. I've shown this to you, both of you, before, from people who, again, have tried to take on Saturday AM, where they try to smoke and mirrors. They try to hold up a shiny piece because what they're hoping for is not the actual thing. They're hoping for the anime or the movie or whatever in the background. And that's what this person was saying to you, is that like this feels like that. Whether it's the case or not, and whether people actually care about the IP like that or not, time will tell. Mm-hmm. But again, it's totally feasible that would be the case with him. Again, if you go by normal conversion methods, it would actually have been a bit bigger than what he's got. But let's say that he just traded at 1%. If you do it based on the anime video, then it makes perfect sense. Like that converted people.
Well, yeah. If you remember, it's
so he got more views on the anime by far than he did.
No. He got less views in anime, and that would then correspond to the people who then were like, "Oh, I'm going to go buy this."
No, he got. I can't remember.
He got 12 million.
I don't have it in front of me.
He got 12 million.
No, 12 million on the anime, 20 million on his actual.
20. I believe it was 20 million on the anime. Another 12, 13 on the reaction to it.
Oh, okay. Maybe that's
it. And so that's extra million. And he gets those numbers regularly on his videos, right? So those did maybe a little extra because of the news, but and then he has 20 million subscribers on top of that. And again, the claim, which one, I don't know if it's him making the claim. A lot of times, all these news people throw out stuff there because they want the views too.
It was a PR firm. I mean, let's be honest. It was a PR firm, and
I don't know.
They don't all have the same message. They all had the same message. They didn't all have the same message.
If it's I'm just saying, disclaimer, I don't know. But the claim was because that's another thing. It's like, oh, is he making he might have said something. I don't know how it got to that, but a lot of times people do things for views because I know that is Dexerto or something. I've seen that. They talk about streamers a lot.
Yeah. I know you're talking about.
But the claim that they made, I don't know if Corey made it, but they made was it was 200K in the first week. So
right. Well,
sold even more.
Right. And so again, like I said, I don't know. Again, I've seen articles to this, and I don't know if the articles quoted Dexteros. I don't know, but I feel like it was because this whole thing was coordinated. So I feel like it was PR, but
maybe.
Let's see. I've been doing this a long time. PR looks pretty clear. Yeah, but that being said, though, like I said, again, I think what the young man's doing is cool, and I think that, again, I don't know. Like I said, again, we'll have to see. I don't know if what he has is interesting for people because of how cool it is, or if it's interesting because of him, and that's going to be the $1 million question. But well, like I said, yeah, I mean, here's the thing. And I know people have talked about this as well. It's like, he's trying to get an anime done. Well, of course he is. Like everyone's trying to get anime done. But at the same time, though, I mean, like, this kid's obviously got money, and he's been wise with how he used it. Again, I think hiring Lime was a stroke of genius. He hired a staff to produce the manga. I mean, like, this kid ain't playing around. So, like, you got to kind of, as I said before, I remember when White did his photo shoot for the apparel that we did with BioWorld. And I told him, I said, I want you to, they were like telling us stuff about trying to figure out how to film White. And I said, well, film him like an entrepreneur. He's built a brand. He's got an IP. He's got books on the market. He's a global. Like, film him like you would film, a successful business person, right? And so that's my thing is that, I think what this young man doing said he came to play, and I respect that. Time will tell, what's in it. But like I said, but I do think that the industry, again, we spent a minute earlier time talking about validation. I think the industry will have its moment with him, and how that goes and how it all plays out will be up to them, up to him. And like I said, time will tell, but we can definitely expect to see more YouTubers. I mean, there've been YouTubers already. And that's the other thing too. Like, there was a YouTuber, like I said, the people who are questioning this, there was a YouTuber in France who is very popular. I don't know if he was CoryXKenshin popular, but he's very popular. He broke records. He sold 80,000 units of his book in the first, he sold 80,000 units. I just know that, of his book, and broke a lot of records in France. There's been folks in the U.S. who, again, I think have big followings. I don't think they're as big as this CoryXKenshin person, but what's the white guy's name? He's I can't say his name. He's got like numbers in his name, but he's long haired, got a little mustache and beard and stuff, and he kind of
he's dark black hair.
Yeah, black hair. Yeah, real pale.
Yeah, I remember him. I don't know his name either.
Yeah, he talks real slow. He's like, he's nice. He seems like a really smart guy.
Yeah, he has I think he has a comment called God Slap or something like that.
I think that's right. Yeah. And from what I understand, I saw someone that did like 60 or 75,000 units. So like, I mean, it could be more, right? But I mean, but so again, the notion from some people in the industry that like, well, this couldn't happen. I'm just like, that's the part I'm just like, well, how do you, like, what part of this don't you see? Like, this is a real thing with real people in it. Again, question whether or not there's a sincere interest in it. Don't question whether or not it happened. Question whether or not you can see the data. And again, they could reach out to him if they were curious about saying his numbers. Reach out to him.
No,
like, don't opine about it. Ask him.
I think they tried, and it said.
Oh, I don't know.
They said they tried, and they haven't heard from him. They haven't heard from him. They haven't gotten a response.
Raymond, are you still there?
But
I'm still here, just looking like freezing.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't say anything?
No. I'm pretty sure that
I said that they reached out, but they didn't hear anything from him yet.
Okay, well,
that's all.
I mean, he'll if he wants to get back to him, he will. And again, like I said, they're free to ask the question they want to ask, and
I think it's part of
proving them wrong with the success of it. I mean, he's clearly committed to doing it, and like I said, he's doing all the right things. So
it's part of his unique position when you have that much reach, to a degree. I think it does come to a point, but to a degree, it's a lot of people are trying to reach out to you, so it's much difficult to get in contact with everybody. But
that's right. I mean, hell, I don't get back in touch with
yeah. So there's that element, and then there's the other element of him not needing the industry to a degree. Right.
I've heard you say this before, and I do push back on that. I think again, like I said earlier, I think that's a bit much.
I know what you're going to say.
Because I think again, this is a real industry. It's been around for a lot longer than any YouTuber, and so you will want, at some point you will want that validation.
Even in the video, right? That's why I said to a degree, because even in the video where he was talking about, wanting an anime and things like that, he's not planning to fund the whole anime by himself.
Hell no. Like I said, hell no. Like, I mean, again, I don't care how much money that boy's got. Like, that's a lot of money to put into
anime. Let's
be clear. What he's putting in, that's why, again, I think, like I said, I get why that person asked the questions, White, and why you and that person had exchange. Because you don't have to be a rocket scientist if you're in this industry to look at how much he's spending on these books and say, you have to sell that to get back that money. Like that's not like, you're not like, I mean, you're talking a lot of money being spent. You got this team, you're producing animation, like add all those costs up. You better sell 200,000 copies because that's a lot. That's a lot of money spent on this.
I would say though, if
you got a lot of books to make up for that anime, buddy.
Yeah, if you do the math for
$14.99.
Yeah, if you do the math for the production of the books, especially all the crazy stuff happening, but you do the math for the production of the books and shipping and and then for the line stuff and your team and writing and all of that, but you're selling the book at $14.99 and you sold well over 200K if that is true, then you've made your money back already.
I don't know about the animation. No, I don't think that. No.
But the team is all over
costs come together. And let's say he does have a PR team. All those costs come together. But.
I was gonna say, like, even the artists, there's that cost doesn't stop.
Oh, well, I don't want to get White's frozen again, but I don't want to get too in depth with that because again, we know some stuff because we know some of the folks involved. So I don't want to get too into it. I would just say that because again, I don't think it's our place to talk about. Again, I think the key thing here is just people are talking about it.
Yeah,
and people have opinions about it. What the key thing here is that this young man has done something extraordinary, and he's putting together a great team. And he's putting his money into it. He's not talking about the stuff; he's actually doing the stuff.
Yeah,
and he's and he should be celebrated for that. And then again, time will tell because that's the thing. And I've said this, I know many times to you guys, but you can have all the money in the world, but have someone who's done this for decades. It is very hard to predict or to know you're going to have a successful intellectual property. That is very hard. Like that does not happen just because you want it to, or because you're like, we're going to spend $60 million on advertising. Like it doesn't work that way. People will respond to the advertising, but they either embrace something or they don't. And, and that's just simple as that. And so we'll see. But he's focused on it and he's doing all the right things that he should. And let's hope that he does aspire to get into bookstores and
yeah, that's where I'm coming from. I mean, just something positive, like y'all talk about Black Joy, man. Like,
yes.
Like I feel like a lot of these guys, they always want to go edgelord with stuff. They always
That's you and I. That's you and I being older. But yes, I do. I know you're talking about. Yes, I do. It is somewhat surprising to me when you see all these Black YouTubers. Again, I think he's different because I think he's more serious than some of the other ones. But there are some of the other ones though who are known for jokes, or known for laughs, or known for just weird pranks, and you're like. And now you want to make like a super serious, but not
even super serious. But I mean, they want to put like excessive swearing in it that don't, they want to go over the top of stuff. I'm like, I mean, I guess there's a place for that, but I mean, like, man, you do yourself a disservice. I mean, it's easier for you to, as a parent, I'll put it that way. As a parent, if you can win parents over, man, you're already separating yourself. From the crowd,
I agree. I agree.
You gotta be cool when parents, though, oh no, I gotta, whatever. But
yeah, it's not cool to reach out to parents, but I agree with you. That's an opportunity that would be.
You go to one of our, we were talking about in our last call yesterday. You go to one of our trade shows and actually experience parents like making that choice. Like, man, look, I got look, buddy, you got $20. You got to pick something good. And they come to our table and they see Clock Strike or Apple Black, all of our different titles and all that stuff, and they choose us, And Mama pulls out the credit card, swipes it, and it builds that trust, and that trust, comes in with all the stuff we were talking about earlier about, with the libraries winning these different awards. It builds trust with with the people that actually support you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No. Listen, I agree. Like I said, I don't. I agree. It's that simple. I agree. I don't know, but at the same time, though, I mean, if that's what these young folks want to do. I mean, I talked to White once. White did this. Remember that drawing White did of it was kind of like a romance thing. The black male character.
Yeah.
I was like, White. I said, White, you should do a romance thing with these characters in it. That post blew up. And he was like, yeah, but I don't want to. And I was like,
yeah.
I was like, but now if I said, I need you to draw a picture of Santa where he rips out someone's intestines and blows up their body afterwards, like ha, that's hilarious. He's like, baby, that's in volume 7.
Yeah. I don't know. You want me to do some? So I throw away. Now I'm gonna spend the next.
That would do well.
I'm gonna spend the next 3-5 years. Right,
that would do well. That romance comic would do well, but again,
not from the dark manga. No,
at the end of the day, if we're keeping it a buck, right? Yes, maybe it'll do romance.
It would do very well.
Romance is doing well, right? But
yes, it is. Yes,
what is good will do
well. If we're keeping it a buck, no. If we're keeping it a buck, then that's crazy what you just said. That's not true.
No, but my point is that, like, the way I said it is not accurate. But my point is, if you look at some of the best content, IP, whatever today, not everything is romance.
No, it's not. I mean, no, of course not. Again, there are lots of factors that go into the success of IP, and I think that again, Saturday Night has built some really successful IPs, and so but there's a lot of factors into it. I mean, that's like asking like the groups who try to compete with us stuff like why are their stuff not as popular? I mean, some of them have had books that came out and they haven't sold anywhere close to ours. Like, why is that the case? And again, I think because they would certainly argue, well, it looks like Saturday AM, and it's like, well. But there are all sorts of, it necessarily doesn't, but then also there's all sorts of reasons that go into things that we look at and pay attention to that they might not or don't. And so, like I said, I've been in this business a long time. It is hard to predict successful IP. It's really hard to predict that you can have all the money in the world. You can have a top license like Star Wars or Care Bears, what have you. And it's still really, really hard to predict what's going to hit and what's not. There've been, since I've been alive, there have been probably 7 Transformer comic book iterations from major companies. And this most recent one is probably one of the most successful ones that have happened since the very beginning, from Image Comics and Robert Kirkman of Walking Dead. Same, like the Transformer part doesn't change. It's still Megatron, it's still Optimus Prime. Yeah. So why now? Why now is it like all of a sudden becoming this like award-winning thing, and all the iterations before it didn't? It's hard to predict. Talent is a part of it. Understanding the market's a part of it. But ultimately it comes down to the consumer and what choices they make. And you cannot, I don't care how much money you spend, you cannot make a consumer do something. You just can't. And so that's just the reality, but we'll see. I mean, like I said, again, for these YouTubers, like I said, first of all, he's not the last. I think we all know that. There'll be, I think with the young woman, Valkyrie has a thing coming out from Global Comics. She's got some coming from Global Comics, and then I'm sure there are others that we don't know about who are in production, and some other folks who've toyed with doing it. And so we'll see. I'm sure there'll be more, and ultimately, again, it just come down to who actually built something that's successful outside of that. I mean, just again, one aspect of this that again I think some of the critics are missing is that you had Mr. Beast, who I think Mr. Beast right now is probably is he the biggest YouTuber?
Yes, by a mile.
Okay, so he had this like snackables thing or something like that, and
Feastables.
Okay, so those came out. He had a lot of marketing push behind him and so forth, and like I think they did pretty well, right? And so like no one was like, now I think there was been a controversy later about maybe something went wrong with it, but ultimately, I mean, those came out, and he knew the market, and he put a lot of effort into it, and had a huge following, and that came out well. So it's not like this is impossible. And so I'm just, again, the tone of the questioning of him to me was a little surprising, because it seemed as if there was a perception that he was purposely lying to people. And I'm like, I don't know why. First of all, this is not that hard to imagine happening in terms of him succeeding at this. So anyway, it is what it is. I know we got one more topic to go through.
Yeah, one more topic, and the last one, if you guys are still with us, is just kind of just touching on.
They're still with us. Shit, they're like super excited. They're still with us. They're super excited.
Oh yeah. Sometimes you see two really, really old people. I'm like holding down the fort. You know what I'm saying? So I can only do so much.
That's good. That's
they ain't looking at this. They're drawing right now.
Both of y'all are taken away from this side, so I can only do so much. You know what I'm saying? So,
I'm pretty sure that there's some moms who watch this being like, that guy in the black hat's awesome. That's a sexy man.
Maybe. And so the last thing would be to touch on just general updates for what's going on, and and all that surrounds us. I'll pass it on to Fred, but as you guys can imagine, we have stuff that you can pre-order. Just kind of a little nod before we go into the deep dive. All our books, you can go to Saturday-am.com. and you go to the graphic novel section. You see all the books that we've published. We have a tutorial book, How to Draw the First Manga. And it's not necessarily the first installment of Making Manga, but you can see of it. You can look at it that way, and to some degree. And you can also pre-order Making Manga. But obviously, you can look at all our award-winning books. You can learn a lot about us there. You can get the books anywhere manga is sold, Amazon, Barnes & Noble, wherever you guys get your books.
Or globally too.
Globally too. We have books to be translated, Turkish. Soon we'll be getting like more with French, Japanese, Czech. And so the list goes on. It'll be continuing expanding as long as you guys support. Thank you guys for those who have supported, because I'm sure we're talking to some people who already have our books. So shout out to y'all. And if you guys are enjoying everything so far, make sure you like the video. You know, we'll try to again pop out more. Jay will be with us next time. Hopefully he gets well soon. And yeah, we just updating that. There are a lot of other big news, huge worthy news that it'll be too premature to discuss.
That's right. That's right. Yeah, the big stuff coming, but that's not for now. We'll be able to talk. You guys will talk about that.
Fred, I know my thing. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I just want to say, please don't get too far into that. But you guys will talk about it. You guys will talk about it in the future episode for sure.
I wasn't going to say it. You don't trust me, Fred?
Not that hat.
Don't trust a guy with a hat like that.
Hey, this is
he's gonna leave that room with his little Japanese drums in the back and go outside to the beach and sit in a little lawn chair and just
this is all a set. This is all a set. Behind it is the beach. I'm already at the beach.
I'm trying to stay humble. You know, you can't have they can't have you thinking you're on the beaches.
Yeah, I need to put out the perception that I'm working all the time, so I'm in the office all the time. You know what I'm saying?
Man,
so this is actually the sun. This is like proper sun.
Well, I can believe it. Now I'm looking at Raymond's background. Raymond looks like he's trapped in a closet. It's good to leave him alone. Just threw up a little thing on the back wall just to make it look like there's actually a room that he can like reside in.
Look, this is my office. That's it.
And I bet it's a hall closet. I bet if you stood up right now, you hit your head.
Jay, before we move on to the update that makes all of that outdated, what are your thoughts?
Well, first off, the reason why I wasn't in that episode is because I was sick. I have a little boy now, and he got kind of under the weather. And next thing I knew, I was under the weather, and I couldn't talk. My voice went away. It was horrible, but luckily everybody's back to good health. So
yay!
Yeah.
But we need to invest in those.
You sound like a new man. You sound like that.
Yeah, do you know those soundboards where you have like sound effects? I push a button and go, yay!
Yeah.
Give us time. We're on a Saturday AM budget. Give us time. But go on, Jay. Sorry.
Yeah. I mean, my voice was like really, really bad. I sent a message to you guys, and it sounded absolutely horrible. I think Fred was like, "Yeah, you can sit out." To come on this. Like it was horrible. But luckily I feel a lot better. So my thoughts on the CoryXKenshin's situation. First off, I mean, obviously the animation that I saw, it was really, really cool. That was a really cool announcement to basically say, hey, I'm coming up with this this story, this original IP. In case, I assume everybody that's watching this knows who he is. I mean, obviously he's a very successful YouTuber. He has a lot of money to be able to kind of throw out there and say, hey, animate this for me. And the animation looks awesome. And obviously with all of that hype, when he came out with the manga, everybody was like super excited. And like it's crazy to see like how much social media influences like everybody nowadays. Like, I mean, obviously that's the case. That's what we do. To a lot lesser extent, obviously. But it's pretty amazing to like see somebody that can just say, hey, you know what? I'm really, really famous. I have a lot of money. I'm going to go out there and do this. And then because you already have that fan base, even if there's only a 1 or 2% amount of that fan base that follows you and does anything, like, I mean, that's still a really large subset of people that, are going to support you. So I thought that was amazing. If anything, it just kind of like drives the point home that you really need to, focus on, social media just as much as your craft nowadays. Sometimes it's a lot more difficult, especially, I started drawing comics. Like my very first comic that I put out there, social media was just beginning. Like Instagram was like, just, starting. And I remember I sent out pages, physically to, companies. Yeah, like, I mean, that was like the one and only time I actually did that. Like, I mean, because after that, like, no one took physical copies anymore. So, like, I'm really glad I got that experience. It was really cool to have the hope and the, like the dream of saying, "Oh man, the image is gonna get back to me," but they didn't get back to me. I sent it to a few other people, but luckily I got with Antarctic Press, and that kind of snowballed into what it is today. But yeah, it was just it's pretty cool to know that social media is like that big of a deal. So obviously, if you can grow yourself online and have an actual fan base that wants to follow you, then that's obviously the best thing that you can do to get a large amount of people to support you. And that's what you really need, because even if you do this with a publisher that's going to help you actually promote your work, or if you do this by yourself, like, you need a fan base that's going to say, hey, I want to support you and I like your work. Now obviously I do think that it will. I haven't read like the book yet, so I have no idea what exactly it's about. I kind of have a idea, but it really depends on the story itself. Like, obviously, having a large fan base can only get you so far. And if you have a good story, a good character, a good character design, all these parts that need to fall into place. It's not just having a big fan base. Like, obviously, that is a really important part. But if you have at least the good story and the good character design and the good all of that, you can still get to a level of success that you don't necessarily need like the fan base to begin with. Like, the fan base will just like start to come up. Like, a prime example is Clock Striker, because I mean, Fred, no one knows Fred. No, like they know White Manga, for instance. Like, I mean, Fred, obviously he's done a lot of really awesome things. He's created Saturday AM, for instance. But I mean, like, no one knows him like like White Manga. He's not going out there and doing tutorials online, but he still has a very successful IP, and it's just getting more and more popular. So it really depends, I think, on like the character. And with that said, I think that Cory's success will continue to grow depending on all of that, as opposed to just his own fans and his own fame. So I mean, that's what I had to say about it. Everything I've learned thus far, I think it's very impressive. I mean, it's amazing. And if anything, I just wish that I loved playing games in front of people and making jokes, because if only I would have thought, what, I can do this for a living. If only that would have happened. That would have been great.
To our parents, our parents, get a real job. Now, if I forward, a few years later, being a YouTuber is a real job.
Yeah. YouTuber, gamer,
it's really well.
all of that. Like this, with the Cory thing, it's proof for a host of things. One is proof that it can be done, but it's rare, right? There's not that many Corys, right? And again, like Jay said, it will get. He has a way to get people to the door, but if the project was doo-doo, then it wouldn't last. And in fact, it would just kind of hurt. It would hurt more than it would help. I think, right? At least it would hurt the project more than it would help. But it doesn't seem that way. It seems like a passion project, but it seems like there's a lot of effort put into it, and he has pretty good, great, decent, whatever you want to call it, artists and writers behind it helping him put all that together. And then I think the rollout was pretty smart. So it's kind of like one of the things that I wanted to do, that I've, like you said, that we've done on a smaller scale, but when YouTube was first coming out, that was like what I had in mind. It's like, wait a minute, breaking into the industry, sending my stuff to Yen Press, Antarctic Press. I actually sent to Antarctic Press, and I actually did years ago, and I didn't hear back. But it was because I had a teacher who asked me to like try that, because she knew Ben Dunn. They both worked on A Scanner Darkly or something like that. I think that's like
nice.
Keanu Reeves, Robert Downey maybe movie. I actually haven't seen that movie, but it's one of those movies that it's on the list to see. But my point is, to break into the industry back then was like a thing of like, oh, we'll go to this convention and the portfolio this and portfolio. It was just a very difficult thing that not many people have access to. Right? It's still difficult today, but with the internet, it's made a whole lot more easy. Like, it's much easier now. Like, a lot of times where I get opportunities is just because they saw something I did online. That's literally 95% of everything. Even some of the things with Saturday AM, it's either our email, or sometimes maybe they email Fred, or they email me, and I'll put them through the right channels. And so it's like it gives you a chance to put yourself out there. And so when you have something as big as Cory's on that scale, you just exit 10 exit 20 exit whatever, and then just you can imagine the success there. So part of the you have the usual controversy of like, ooh, is this manga? Blah 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 blah. To me, that's outdated. We know it's manga. We can argue that dumb thing from here till I have no interest in that. People just is the usual crowd that wants to discredit things. But then another controversy was about whether it actually hit 200K in a week. A week? Yeah, I think that was the line, right? And to me, that was very believable. I don't know why anybody, would doubt it. It seems pretty straightforward to me, because if you have 20, especially looking at my own audience and the percentage that bought my stuff, right? Having 1% of your 20 million subscribers, even if not all 20 million of them are active, because sometimes you might have all this social media stuff, right? You might have 50,000 followers on Instagram. You post something, not all 50,000 are going to see it, right?
Yeah.
But a decent amount. Well, they've been reducing that, especially on Twitter. It could be like 3% this season, right? But even if it was just 3%, YouTube is bigger, right? Especially for a popular creator, and he hadn't made a video in a while, so he was coming back. So it was like a return video, like it was trending on Twitter. Like, ooh, Cory's back and stuff.
Yeah.
So you have that going on. Then you have the viral aspect of it, where now people who aren't even subscribed to him know about it, right? So you have that, right? And the same thing with our books. Not all our supporters bought up. There are people who had never heard of us before, and they saw the book for the first time that day. So you add all those factors that everybody's ignoring. Then on top of the fact that a huge portion, even if it was like a small portion, like that algorithms try to do, where it's not all of your people seeing it, right? It's not all your 20 million subscribers are active, but you have the usual suspects who will see it. And then it went viral, so then even more people see it, and then YouTube will share it to even more percentage of your audience, so it's closer to that 20 mil. It's like all these factors, you add everything. Then other social media, because the videos are not just posted to YouTube, it was posted to Instagram, it was posted to whatever. Then you have all the fans wanting to, whether they want to support Cory or in part munch off of the hype. Everybody's talking about it, making reviews, making blah, blah, blah. Then you have these controversy, blah, blah, blah. You add all of that together. And to me, it makes up for the 20 million subscribers, as if it was at least 10 million of them.
Yeah.
Because the video did we forget about subscribers. The video views were like over 20 million views. He then made a video after it, reacting to everybody's reactions, that did 13 million views. So even if you just take one of the videos, 20 million views. Sometimes people watch things twice. Let's cut it down to 10. Let's cut it down to 10 million. So 10 million people saw that video. Assuming everybody watched it 2 times. 10 million people watched that video. 200,000 sales, right, for a $14.99 book, where you get digital and physical, right? $14.99 is a good deal. Our books are $13.99, and you just get paperback. You know what I mean? And that's like industry books are getting more expensive. Now you have this tariff stuff, all this China, blah, 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 blah. It's only going to get worse from here, right? Yeah. Unless something changes. So $14.99 for digital and physical, right? 10 million people. That's just, you just need 2% of them. And that's 200,000.
No, it makes sense to me.
So anybody, like, people doubting it, to me in my head is like, okay, you kind of, maybe you're not used to YouTube and and how much influence they have. Hence the term, right? How much influence they have. Because even if the book sucked, it was still, people would try it for the first time. It was still going to hit similar numbers. It'll be like, okay, if it sucks, then it will dwindle. Now, it will always dwindle. It will always come down, right?
Yeah.
It's always going to come down unless something dramatic happens. But if it's good, it won't come down that much.
I would say this. I mean, kind of tying it to like, because I mean, I guess we'll have a topic about this, or maybe, we'll talk about it eventually. But to me, it links into how you carry yourself online in general. Because I don't know much about CoryXKenshin, But the one thing my takeaways from seeing what little bit I have about him, he's a positive dude.
Yeah.
You know, he's a positive guy, likable guy. I really, I didn't really, his content didn't speak to me. You know, I'm an old guy, but but I can see why the appeal. And if he comes out with a volume 2, I wouldn't be. He can do it again, and volume 3 do it again. Because if you think about it, imagine him marrying that large audience that he has with actual consistency. Could you imagine if he came out with one of these books every year? Like, it get to a point probably by the 5th or 6th book, there'll be whole YouTube channel dedicated just to talking about that one book. I mean that one his series.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. So
it's proof. What I like about it the most is, again, the whole idea of breaking into the industry is proof that to an extent you can kind of build your own little piece of land.
Exactly.
Right. And sometimes the journalists, maybe they'll question things, as you should, right?
Mm-hmm.
Somebody comes out and just says, "Oh, I sold 1 million. It kind of looks weird, right?" So you check it. But to me, as someone who knows the YouTube stuff a little bit, I was like, that's a no-brainer. That's easy, right?
Yeah.
And to me, with just that's 200K in a week. So he's probably sold way more than that by now.
Yeah.
It's been 4 months since then, right? And it's now confirmed, right? The whole thing was like, it was in question. So the update has been confirmed, to me at least, because they have the same way that YouTube has these play buttons for if you hit 100K or 1 million.
Mm-hmm.
I think Shopify, if you hit, I guess, 100K orders, they send you a silver bag. I that was the first time I've seen that before. But to me, that's confirmation, right? Because Shopify now is like, oh yeah, that's what happened, and that was 3 days after the video posted. So they sent that thing quick.
That's crazy.
So that's 100,000 orders in 3 days. So meaning, right? They don't have a bag for 100. I doubt they have a bag for 120 or 100. They probably, if you hit 100, then you get it, right?
Yeah.
Which means if he got that and it says, pretty much 3 days after that video came out, that means he already hit it sooner than that. It'll take days for the actual bag to get to you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So if we did 100, even if it's just 3 days, it was exactly 3 days. 3 more days to hit 200 as the thing continuously goes viral and people are still kind of talking about. I mean, shoot, we're talking about it. We're 4 months later, but we're still talking.
Yeah, we're still talking about it.
So it's like, it's probably, I wouldn't be surprised if it's closer to 500, because the number will keep coming down, right? So I won't be surprised if it's closer to 500 by now. And if you do the math for 500, just 200, and with the price point, we're looking at 3 million off rip from the 200, right? That 3 million it's already covered production. It's covered shipping. Well, not shipping, because people probably pay for their own shipping, but it's covered the animation, right? Anime episodes are usually like 300, 400 for a 20-minute episode, like animated properly. And that thing was that was 1 minute. So 1 minute, it's covered the animation for sure. A minute, that animation max is like 50K, probably less. But even if it was 100K, which no way it was, right? It was just 1 minute. No way it was. I'm doing super inflation right now. So you have it's covered the animation, it's covered production, it's covered, what else is there? That's covered your website.
But the production is gonna be ongoing though. So like, I think it's good.
I mean, like production for, like, let's say paying the artist and artist.
Well, yeah, okay, I got you.
And then printing, right?
Printing.
That would be ongoing.
But he has a studio though. Right? I mean, he's basically putting together like a team, to keep it going.
So they've covered everything with 3 million, right? And this is somebody who probably could fund that. Well, I don't know. You can't go fund an anime, for instance. That's why he had a little line about Netflix and yada yada yada. But if one book is pulling out 3 million, even if I took out 1.5, which again I'm being like super duper inflation, right? He's definitely made his money back, and you keep doing that. You could technically even do your own anime, drop it on YouTube, or do the animation, make sure it's cool, and then strike a deal with whoever you want, because it'll be easy for them, because they're like, "Ooh, it's already, for the most part, it's already done." You know what I mean? All they have to do is slap it on their streaming, whatever, and anybody will take it because he's scored, right?
Mm-hmm.
So there's a lot good going for him. I like the rollout. I think the animation thing was smart. Some people will think, oh, is it getting an anime? No, it's a manga thing. So that's the only. It's not even a downside really, but I enjoy the rollout. And again, it's just proof that you can really just carve your own thing and bypass a lot of the industry, whether they like it or not. Like it doesn't even matter if you cover it on your website. It doesn't need you at all, and you all the power is with you. You know what I mean? And so that part I really liked. And so there was all this doubts about whether he actually pulled it off. And to me, I was like, come on. Really?
Well, I mean, it's exactly like what you said. He basically just like harvested his own land and then just said, hey, this is my place, guys, come on over. And then everybody that knew about this came over and, just partied all over the land. So, like, I mean, that's what you need to do in this day and age with social media and everything else. So, like, yeah, I also did not necessarily doubt it. I was
he's the Chance the Rapper of comics.
I think there are many artists that kind of do Russ or something like that. There's many who do that. And again, that number is high. I'm sure he's broken some records. Comics are not selling, especially Western ones. Obviously, some manga is doing great numbers, but hundreds of thousands, right? Those are the kinds of, for $14.99. Those are like, I don't know what apparatus or whatever he has behind the scenes, but if those numbers were put side by side, because that was part of the thing, like a lot of the industry, they couldn't cross-check. They can go look up some database and check it, right? So if he was in those databases and the book was in Walmart or book was in Amazon, where they could really put it toe-to-toe with all the other books, they would see that he's outselling a lot of the...
Is the book a full volume?
What?
Is it a full volume?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. It's a full volume. And so, just similar to our books, right? And it's outselling all the other stuff. You know what I mean?
Well, I mean, this also goes back to what I was saying earlier. Like, I mean, obviously this is an amazing accomplishment, but I mean, and yeah, I guess time will tell, but I just hope that like his story and also the characters like are very likable and like people want to draw fan art for this. So that way it can keep on growing in popularity, not just him saying, hey, buy this because I'm awesome. Yeah, buy this because this is awesome. Like that's the thing that needs to happen. And again, I've not read it, so I have no idea. But I mean, once he hits it, it's just the sky's the limit at that point.
I watched the video of him announcing it, and he made that a point too. He was like, "Oh, I know a lot of people are gonna buy it because it's me, but I really want you guys to buy it because you like it." You know what I mean? And then there are people. Some of the stuff that he was actually reacting to on the second video that did like a bajillion million views was people reacting to it, doing reviews, and then also dissecting the animation, looking for like pointing out Easter eggs, and he was like confirming it. So that doesn't mean it's going to be all of a sudden super interesting, but it told me that at least he was meticulous in crafting all the stuff, right? It's not just random passion. It's like a care for how he's placing things. And he's also go ahead.
I mean, it also shows that the fans are like eagerly like wanting to get into it, which is awesome. Like that's what you need, obviously. So, but sorry to cut you off. What were you saying?
Oh yeah. That was pretty much it. Like I think it doesn't mean it's going to be good, but it shows that there is there was a lot of thought. There's thought put behind it, and his mind is in the right place to make sure that it's actually good. And so I can see him doing this. I can see him continuing. It's already selling 200K is pretty huge, especially in that short, in a week. It's a record somewhere, right?
Yeah.
So, congrats to him. Big W. Yeah. And it shows that it can be done, but at the same time, it is very rare. And the land that he's cultivated, right? Luckily for him, he built it off of. I've watched some Cory stuff in the past, but not that much, right? But enough to where I know who he is, right? Especially because I still get a couple comments here every now and then. I look nothing like this man.
You know what? Y'all got the same like energy or something, bro. Like, cause I was watching him and he had a couple of like mannerisms that was like you. Maybe because y'all in Texas. He's in Texas too, right?
I don't know where he is.
Okay. Right. Yeah. I don't know, man. Y'all don't look alike, but y'all got the same kind of like.
You guys got the same goatee.
Alexis
Alexis
said the same. Alexis said the same thing. You were saying that now. I've gotten these comments for like maybe 5, 6, 7 years. I look not. You're saying mannerisms. I've heard mannerisms. I've heard voice.
Voice is there.
No.
If y'all look, he could cast you as CoryXKenshin in the movie and vice versa. If y'all want to,
you gotta grow your hair out. That's
all
that.
It was that, and then I've gotten looks. Right, I've been compared to another YouTuber called Donkey. I don't know who that is. That one I don't know who that one is. But
I got compared to Tay Zonde a long time.
I get that one. I see that one. I see that one.
Chocolate Rain. Everybody is watching.
Yeah. Chocolate. I see that one. But like the Cory one, I don't get it. And I remember one time I told him, and he was like, I did every black YouTuber every black YouTuber is looking like. So
as another black dude, y'all got similar swag. Y'all are like y'all are long lost brothers somehow.
Nah, we'll figure that one out later. But the point I was making was that he built his audience. It's an audience of just not. It's not like he's not like he's Keith Lee and he used to talk about cooking. And then he's trying to convert everybody to manga, right?
Right.
He did video games. And video games, manga, it's like the overlap is right there. Like most people read comics. If you read comics, you will read, even if he calls it, whatever he calls it, manga, comic, manga, whatever he calls it, you're going to read it. It's similar to what RDC have done a little bit, right? So the audience you're cultivating is actually inside that space. They're nerds, they're geeks, they love the stuff, right? So it all worked in his favor, and so
and he's positive too, man. Like I said, he's I'm a big believer that you grow. The audience you grow is that you tend to attract a certain crowd to you when you build the audience, and like
so
these guys,
they'll want to support.
Yeah, they want to support, and they'll keep supporting. Just and they'll be glad about it. If they make a video, of course you're always gonna have trolls out there hating and stuff like that. That comes with the territory, but for the most part, anything I've seen, it's been pretty much, even if they had something critical to say about the book, they did it in a respectful way. It wasn't like burning books or anything crazy like that.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Yeah. So, like I said, shouts out to him, big W, and this guy's, because now that he's made his noise, and that side of the comic industry they're going to be reaching out to him for interviews, and eventually, any pub distributor would take him.
Yeah.
Any distributor.
If he just stay consistent and make however many books he's gonna make, 5, like we talked about on our last. If he has a game plan to just try to make 5 books, that dude has basically wrote himself a ticket to becoming one of the top selling mangas.
Exactly. Right. It's kind of like all these guys, YouTubers, they're doing everything. They're entering politics, or you're in the blind. They're doing boxing. So now they've come from manga. If they've come from manga, I guess, in a big way. Obviously, you have me, but like I'm talking about YouTubers with 20 million, over 10 million. You know what I mean? So it's proof that it can be done. It's still rare. It's still very difficult. He doesn't have to draw the pages. He doesn't have to draw the pages. He just has to write it.
Yeah, this is true. It's true.
Yeah, definitely one of the best parts to just be like, you know what? I'm gonna pay you. Like, here you go. They just do it, and they do it to a competent level as well. It's not just somebody drawing stick figures. Like, it looks pretty good.
Yeah, it looks great. Yeah, it looks great.
Yeah. So I think any distributor would take him. So eventually, the bigger the project becomes, he can even do. I'm sure guys like that probably have other stories they want to tell. And so the bigger he gets, all these people will sign. It's probably happening right now. Where they'll sign some kind of distribution thing. If he does
no way he's not getting phone calls at this point. It's no way he's not getting them.
Yeah, exactly. So if he does it right, he's getting the right calls, he's getting the right contracts, and then eventually the book will then be side by side with all the, Barnes and Nobles or Amazon, where like all the places it needs to be, and all those databases, all those reviewers, and yada yada yada. So they would be like less skeptical about what's happening. So,
you even look at something like Lord Olympus that just destroyed a few years back, and a lot of that came from she didn't have obviously the reach that Cory does, but I think you compensate that with consistency. I mean, that's the only way normies like us can really compete. If you don't have the numbers, you got to be able to put in them pages and have a body of work.
She has the numbers on Webtoon.
Oh yeah. I mean, I know it's not CoryXKenshin numbers, but
it's not.
We don't have to be.
It's the CoryXKenshin equivalent on Webtoon and put it like that.
Okay, yeah.
You know what I mean? So yeah, I think it's like billions of views. But the thing is, I don't fully know how Webtoon does the counts. You know, is it like when you click on an episode that's one view, or is it like a certain amount of swipes that's multiple views? I don't know.
But hers is real. That's the thing, though. Her fandom was real. Like, you know, like there's a difference between being popular, but like people are actually into her stuff, cosplaying as it. You know what I mean? Fan art, the whole 9 yards, and you can't fake that.
I think if because we're talking about those percentages, right? Where I said like, 10 million people watch this video, so 2%. That's a small. Usually, a healthy is like 5 to like 13. So to me, he's probably going to end up in the 5 to 13, meaning he's sold way more, right? Mm-hmm. And so if you can get 5% to 13% of your active viewers, readers, whatever it is, followers, subscribers, 5 to 13% of them to not buy that coffee or not buy that video game or not buy that whatever and buy your thing, that's when you win. If it's just likes, then I think it's not as powerful. However, you can still monetize that in its own way, right? Because I mean, Webtoons in many ways is free, right? So it's, you read it for free, and then maybe you turn somebody into a true fan, and when the book comes out, then they become a super fan. So, or then they become a buying fan or whatever. But I think the more buying fans you have, that's like peak, right? Yeah. Then the other fans, they still count and they still matter. But I think there's levels to it. I think paying fans are more indicative of how real your thing is. You know,
I mean, it's what Fred says this all the time. He's like, I like Beyonce, but I'm not a fan because I'm not going to buy a ticket to Beyonce's concert.
Right.
But like, if I do buy a ticket to Beyonce's concert, that means like I'm really like a fan, like to that extent. So like, yeah, I'll like a video or two with her dancing or whatever. Like this is his example, but I mean, I totally agree.
It's not that the other people aren't fans per se, but I think it's like tiers.
It's a different level. Yeah,
it's like tiers to a degree, right?
Yeah, I mean,
there's some people they don't have the money, right? But,
they have the enthusiasm because my mind went on to and you guys. Why you should remember this? There was remember back when we first got started, there was a super popular webcomic called Homestuck. You know that? Yeah. Homestuck was insane with their fan base because they were so into it. I mean, you would see them at cons all the time, and you would see all this stuff about Homestuck, and then you look at it, you go look at the comic, and it's literally drawn in Microsoft. I'm not even joking. It's literally it's drawn in Microsoft Paint. MS Paint Adventures is what it's called. Yeah. And so it goes to show that you don't. In ways, some people don't even need all the fancy art, the trailers, all that stuff. They do it organically somehow. Sometimes it just catch, and it's how and why.
A lot of times, that's another element that people don't talk about too much is you can do everything right, and I think eventually something will click. But then how powerful it clicks, if what you're doing is good, how well it clicks, and all of that, you definitely need luck.
Yeah. The consistency will make you ready for luck. Like, because if luck happens and you're not ready and you don't have the body of work, then it's just going to pass you by. But if luck hits and you got the body of work and you're present and you're doing all things right, then it's like multiply. It's like you can just it's like Fred used that example a lot, rolling the boulder down the hill. You don't even have to push it.
It is exactly right. And some of the stuff that's happening behind the scenes, like the stuff that we're working on. We can't talk about it. We can't announce it yet, but even one of them, as I'm talking, you know what I'm talking about. But the fact that I have multiple volumes of Apple Black,
right?
That's done, right? It's easy for me to. It's much easier than someone who, let's say, imagine I only had one book, and then this thing came along, and then now I have to. It's 10 times more difficult for me to do what I'm supposed to do. But because all of it is done, and I have assistants in place. Imagine if I didn't have assistants in place. It's like you just kind of have to keep on your own, keep building, and eventually you're preparing for luck when it comes. And you know, depending on how good what you're doing, it will kind of trickle down into how well it hits. So that's
speaking of in that same vein, I remember reading about the creator of Scott Pilgrim, O'Malley. And he was talking about how, like, when they made the movie, while he was only in like volume 2 or something like that, the movie that they made. So he ended up. So the volume that came after the movie, pretty much, you know, he took inspiration from the movie. Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Because he didn't have anything ready yet. So he was like, hey, that's a good idea. I think I'm gonna use that.
Wait. Time out. You mean they started like optioning it around that time, or they like made them? Like
when that movie
came out in 2010, right?
Yeah. Oh,
that
something
was
like
when Frame 6 came out, because like it was an entire big thing with the Comic-Con. I remember because I was living at like my mentor and I, like, he went to that Comic-Con, and like they had a PS2 video game that was like, you know, sponsoring the end of the book, as well as also the movie coming out with Michael Cera. Like, I do think that they optioned it probably when he was like on maybe volume I don't know 5 or maybe 4 or whatever. But I mean,
I think because it's been around since I read it, but I think they optioned it. They must have optioned it around volume 2 or 3. And now you mention it, I think he said volume 6, if I remember right. I think volume 6 was the one where he didn't have. Volume 6 was based on what happened in the movie, because he didn't have volume 6 yet by the time the movie came out.
Well, I mean, I know that like he had like a bunch of assistants on volume 6. I know that. I have the entire thing like right there. But like, even regardless, you know, like, it's, I don't know, Brian Lee O'Malley is you know, I remember like that was one of the first comics in America anyway that like I really like enjoyed, and I read the entire thing. I waited like for every book to come out and stuff like that. But I mean, this is kind of getting off topic, but yeah, I mean, you know, that also is like an amazing like story, because like that book or that series became so popular that like it was in Japan. Like, I remember reading an interview where he was like, yeah, you know, I picked up a book and I saw Japanese letters and I was like, I'm looking for the English version. and like after that, like, obviously, you know, it became like this huge like cultural thing. Only Press's like biggest book and like all sorts of stuff. So I don't know, like,
if one had to go, Scott Pilgrim or One Piece?
One had to go.
I would say
Jay that question. You definitely asked Jay that question.
No, yeah, definitely not you. I'm
One Piece is better. I would say that you know, I really admire Scott Pilgrim mainly because it was a very compact story, and it's also extremely easy to pitch. Like, every time I tell anybody about pitching, people, like, it's such a like easy sentence. Like, Scott Pilgrim wants to date Ramona Flowers, but he has to defeat her 7 evil ex-boyfriends. That's the entire like right there.
Work of art.
Yeah,
it's a work of art.
If I'm Scott, I'm like, wait, why? Hold up. Why? They're your exes. Why am I doing this? That movie will be very short. That'll be a very short movie. I'll be like, hold up. Why? Also, or if it's like, oh no, you have to, then I'm like, okay, I'm not dating you. Then. Like, I don't have to date the fuck.
Man, you ain't the hero of the story.
That's a very short movie. That's why. Yeah, you know what? That's why. That's why you're right, Raymond. I'm not the hero that she needs. No. I'm not saving these. No. That's
not you want the background characters, man. You ain't the main brother. Nah, they got.
I'll be that character. I'll be the character that's trying to tell him not to do it. It's like,
that's right.
What are you doing?
Well, I mean,
she's not even that hot. What are you doing?
Look, you see them little legs.
Oh gosh, but yeah, that all that. If you guys were, you know, given all the stuff we're talking about, obviously we don't have like Cory money and blah blah blah. But if you were starting out today, what are the things you guys watch out for to make sure you do? Right. Well, obviously, some things like consistency, you can still mention it, but like, what would you do to help promote? Yeah, like, you're coming out today, so 2025, right? What do? You have your new IP. Nobody knows you. You have no social media yet. What are you doing? I start with Ray.
I mean, nowadays you got to utilize video, man. Like I would definitely have a Twitch channel or something, YouTube Live, and just document everything while I'm drawing it.
So you got to be in 2025. You have to be a social media artist.
It's got to be. You got no choice. There's no choice, really.
Yeah.
So I mean that's the only thing. That's the only thing. I mean, obviously, story stuff, of course, but like as far as like you said, promoting it. I would have my camera on 24/7. If I'm drawing something, that camera's looking at me draw it.
Yeah, but you know how it is to break out in social. Like, what are the other things? Because even to break out in social media and break out on Twitch, that's a thing in itself. You know what I mean? Like most people in social media do not make it. Period. Mm-hmm. It's like 5%. If I'm wrong, I'm not that far off, right? So it even though you have to be a social media, you actually have to be successful at that too, right?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because it's not easy to just your Twitch. You can have zero watchers for like 3 months.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's part of the reason I'll stream now, man, because I felt like I was a lunatic, man. And look, you know how it is. Like one person to jump on your stream, and all of a sudden you're like, oh, I got somebody. And that person's like, oh my God, I'm on the hook. I'm the only person up in here. You know
like, hey, how's it going?
Don't leave.
One go to zero immediately, and they're like, oh man.
That took me out of it. I ain't gonna lie.
Oh, they're gone.
Yeah, no, that took me out of it, bro. When I had one person in there the whole time with me, and that was it. I was like, okay. Yeah. But I'm gonna try again. But yeah, that was tough for me personally.
What about you, Jay? What are all the things you'll do to make sure you're starting out? Is the same same skill level? You're just starting right now.
Yeah, I would definitely have a live show for sure while I draw. But to help that, I would also like try to focus on something specifically for social media, like or a podcast, for instance. I would hope that to have another friend that I could talk to, and then maybe we could talk about like just something that's like relatable for everybody. So like whether it's pop stories. I've been seeing a lot of these Reddit readings recently on my feed. Pops up. This is "Am I the asshole?" and like
Yeah.
But I mean, like reading a lot of those, getting a rapport with your fan base, and actually like growing that in that way. But like have it be geared towards something specific. So like in my case, I guess it would all be anime related or manga related. And then while I'm doing that, obviously I'm saying, hey, if you guys want to see what I'm working on, go to my stream over here. And then every stream I would have it scheduled like every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday if I had the time to do that.
That's another thing.
Right now, I mean, if it was me right now, like obviously I have a lot of projects going on, but I don't have the time to focus as much as I would like to on social media. Like I'm struggling to do an hour and a half, 2 hours on YouTube every other week. Like that's a lot for me. And if I didn't have anything else going on, but I could focus on this 100% of the time, that's exactly what I would do. I would have a live show. I would do some type of podcast where I would read some stuff. I would try to be really, really social on social media. I'd be commenting on other people's work. Say, hey, this is great. This is awesome. I not in the sense of like saying, hey, definitely check out my page or whatever, because a lot of people get kind of
annoyed.
Why are you like farming for I don't want you to do that in my comment section. But like actually being social, actually trying to reach out and say, hey, I like your stuff, getting to the point where they just naturally want to look at your own stuff and comments, and hopefully you can do a collaboration with them in the future. That definitely would be something that I would work up to, especially with the podcast. If that got a little bit of fame, or maybe every other episode got more and more views, like I would try to work on that angle. And while doing that, every single time I would draw, I would be just drawing online. And that's one thing that I did not do and sometimes don't do right now is like I'll focus on working on my own comic, like Hammer, for instance, and I'll do it to the point where I'm just doing the pages, so that way only I see it. So my fans in the future will be surprised. But in all honesty, I mean, I could still draw it in front of them and like, you know, maybe them reading it all at once would be like a different experience. Maybe they hadn't seen all of the previous you know, streams where I was drawing those pages. Like, you know, it doesn't necessarily matter in the grand scheme of things if I'm drawing every single page online or not. Like, I mean, that's definitely one thing for myself that I, you know, it's a struggle to get over. Like, it's a mental block. It's ridiculous.
It hits me too sometimes.
And I
really think that it doesn't necessarily matter. But what were you saying, Ray?
No, I was gonna say before White make his point too. Like what I was talking about, I think actually it's brilliant what Corey actually did, because he actually did the work first. Like he did that in quiet. Like he did all that work. He made a full volume of because you know, I think that's what a mistake what a lot of YouTubers made. I won't mention the one that's on my mind, but there's one I'm thinking about that made it. You know, that did something similar where they tried to launch the manga, but when they launched it, they only had one chapter done, and it's like that's not enough to eat off of. You know, like people get excited, but this is like one chapter. But he sat back and held that thing back for however long it took him to put all the pages together, and when he dropped it, he had a full body of work, man. So that might be strat too, just to kind of like, you know, like especially if you're short on time, to sit down, you know, plot out your story, plot out how many pages it's going to be, sit down, get it done on, you know, on the schedule that you set it for yourself, and then when you're done, you roll it out a little bit at a time or whatever, and people won't know that you just didn't make those pages yesterday or the day before. They won't know you didn't make those pages. You know, you could have made the pages a year ago.
So basically, first off, you said that as if everybody wouldn't know who you're talking about. Everybody knows exactly what you're talking about. But
I don't think so.
No,
I mean,
no.
If it's what I'm thinking, it's been a minute.
No.
And it went away. Bro, it came quickly.
What?
If it's the one I'm thinking about, like I said, it came. They did a good job. You know, they were teasing it, promoting it, all that stuff, and they launched it for free on a certain app, and that was the last I heard of it.
Maybe we are talking about two different people.
You're talking about two different people. I can guarantee you. Yeah, I can almost guarantee it, because, like I said, dude, it died on the cross, brother. Like it was like it came out the teaser chapter or whatever, and that was it. That was it. And you don't hear that person talk about it anymore.
I'll maybe we're talking about, because when you say it like that, maybe we're talking about two different people. Because I have a different group in mind, and I'm like, yeah, they're still doing their thing, but it's like, okay, maybe we're probably talking about
this is one individual YouTuber.
Yeah, okay. So we're talking about two different people, because I'm like, yeah. So
I don't know who you're talking about. So
perfect.
My point exactly. You have no idea. Out on the hill.
Plead the fifth, Jay. But yeah, what's it called? To me, you know, just piggybacking what everybody was saying. But first off, all the popular social media, I'll be on all of them. And what I've learned is, like, for instance, with videos, a lot of times for the people who haven't made it yet, it's like, how many videos have you made? Have you made 100? Have you made 200? Did you make 200 and you have only 2 subscribers? Then if you did that, then you know it's you. If you did that, you're the problem.
I want to thank all 5 of my subscribers for following me for these last few years. Oh my God!
With 200 videos, and you have only 2 subscribers, you're the problem. You're guilty.
Yes, you are the problem.
Okay? You are guilty. Okay. So a lot of times, did you really put in the work for real, right? So I would be on all the social media, and you know, just like Jay, it's difficult to do this and do comics at the same time. And so the way you kind of counter that is to build a body of content, right, before you jump into it. Now the downside with that is you have to then know what you're doing, because remember, a lot of the guys who are coming in, they can't build a body of content because it might be useless, right? It's kind of like what we talked about in one of the previous things, where it's like, oh, don't do your 300 chapter manga. Imagine somebody spent 5 years doing a comic. The whole comic is doo-doo. And then they want to like trickle it. It's like, hey man, here's this nice chapter 1. Like y'all get excited, and it's completely, you know, it's not good. So the downside of building content like that is that it might not be good, right? You're doing it and you want to be learning at the same time. So, but that doesn't mean you can't build content, social media content. You can spread that out. You can make it, you can bulk that up, right? So do all kinds of stuff. So I would post engaging stuff. You have to study all of the social media places individually.
Yeah.
Figure out what works for each one. And find a way to post a couple times a day on all of them, right? Now repurpose stuff if you have to make it easy for yourself, especially when you're just starting out. And have a nice schedule and be consistent. If it's something you can build on, maybe have a Patreon that helps fund it and at some point, whatever, or you're getting money from these sites at some point, because in the beginning you're not getting anything, right? But the more you get from it, then you can start to build on it, maybe more content, maybe more, whatever the case may be. But you're also improving as a creator, not just as an artist, but like as an online creator. And I do that, be consistently uploading and posting, using all the features they have. So for instance, with IG, pictures, reels, carousels, stories, TikTok, same thing, right? So a lot of times you can just post the same video, right? Depending if it's short form or long form. And sometimes you can create short form from the long form. But essentially, it's a lot of work.
Yeah.
It is a lot of work, right?
And it takes a lot of discipline, too. Because, like, as an artist, one of the first things you want to do, you spend all this time drawing these pictures. First thing you want to do is start posting.
Yeah.
It's like, look, pump your brakes on, boy. If you put that out there, just know it's out there, and you can't undo it. And you know, and you're going to run out. You sometimes run out of content. You know.
Yeah.
For putting stuff out too much. And
so you kind of have to have a schedule, do all this stuff, and you're not going to know how to do everything in the beginning. So you also have to be open to like learning, not just as an artist, but learning as a creator, because you do some trial and error stuff, right? So you build off of that, and I'll give myself like a few years. I'll be ready to get nothing out of it, at least the first 2 years.
Gotcha.
Ready for nothing, right? But while I'm still putting out content, and the content is obviously of that niche of like, manga, anime, all of that, right? I'm looking at creators that are similar to what I want to do and doing what they're doing, but with my own twist to it, and making sure it's something that even maybe non-manga anime people can consume. Engaging, entertaining for all the short attention span people. And then you also have to have content for the ones who you've hooked, right? The people who are now they're hooked to your stuff, right? And so that's where you can have content where maybe you're talking specifically about your story, about what the characters are, what makes it, and doing it in an interesting way. There's a guy on YouTube who called Xander Flicks, right? And we've been cool a couple of while. He's had a channel a long time, right? But he started out making a bunch of like Ben 10 videos, and the Ben 10 videos did great, right? Because what have you done with those? You've pretty much gotten Ben 10 followers to find you, right? And the Ben 10 people, like the videos did very well, because he was a very, really good video creator. The way he edited the videos and the parodies, and then he could draw a little bit and animate a little bit, right? So he did like even animated parody kind of stuff. But he has a very strong Ben 10 base, right? And now he put out a comic that's kind of that, like a superhero comic that would be on Cartoon Network-ish, right? So he's already built something for that. And then he's made a bunch of videos, animated shorts, long forms, talking about the story, talking about it. And it matches with that Ben 10 audience that he's built, right? And he has all these videos well done, and you can just be consistent, do what you can. So he's not posting, he's not posting every day, because a lot of effort is being put into the videos, right? But it's like, once or twice a month. And the videos look great. They're edited well. He can draw pretty well as well. And he's put his books out. And go check him out. He's talking about his story, and people are engaged, right? And so that's the kind of stuff where now all those Ben 10 people, they would be into this kind of stuff, right? And so he's similar to Cory, but not on that Cory scale. He's kind of like hooked them and kept them. So that's the kind of content that you have different kinds of content. You need to find what works best for you, or if you can do both, where you're doing content that is general, where anybody can kind of easily consume it, almost anybody. And then you have content that is for the people you've got.
Right.
And I think regardless of your level, once you do that and you do that consistently for years, any other thing you need to learn or know or whatever, you just automatically consume that and learn it on your own through experience. So even at this stage, there's still some things I want to try that I don't think anybody's tried that much, or not that many people have tried when it comes to promotion. There's all these apps now where if you can put, it's almost like a bid, right? You can put out, say, $1,000, and the $1,000 goes to anybody who comes here and just make shorts of this particular thing. Here are the rules, and then you get a portion of that money. It's almost like a pool, and so they'll go make all these videos, and then they'll get some of the money. And I think it's also tied to how successful that video does, right?
That's pretty cool.
I could put like 1,000. It's pretty much online promotion, but it's a little bit more. It's less than, because I never trust, just go promote on Facebook and Instagram. The people who really know what they're doing, they do really well with that. But I like a more organic thing, because sometimes with those you get a lot of bots, right? So with these, I like organic. Like, okay, the video went out. Those are real comments. Those are real people, right? So these are real people making the videos, right? It's almost like when you pay for a sponsorship. And with these, right, you've put the money out, and then they can take that, go do whatever you've asked them to do. Musicians do this a lot. A lot of celebrities do this too. So that's the pool that everybody's going to, Lord knows how many videos can be made, and they're all coming for that pool. And in my head, I'm already curious to how that would work. Like what would be the gains from that? You know what I mean? So then there's other things like Cory did with doing a really cool viral worthy animation, but obviously you need some bread for that. And so that might not be something you do in the beginning unless you can animate it yourself somehow. You have a team or whatever, and it's going to be cool and yada, yada, yada. Then I'll spam it if you can do it, right? You'd be famous tomorrow, right?
Yeah.
If you can do really cool animations, y'all saw the princess animation thing? It's like
I see.
It's like it's like, I don't want to be a magical girl, or I really don't, something like that. I really don't want to be a magical girl, or something like that. And she actually works. She's an animator. She works in the industry. She's done a lot. She does a lot of Pokemon fan art as well. And it might be she or they. I don't want to get into that boat. So hopefully I'm saying it correctly. But she's really talented, and the animation was top tier, great stuff. And someone like that, you can churn that out. It looks that good, then animation people be easy. It's like the Narmak guy that did the SpongeBob.
I remember
anime. It's already an inbuilt community. So sometimes you can tap into what the type of content you do. Like I said, for the general, right? Not the community you have, but for the general, you're essentially tapping into already existing communities.
Yeah.
Right. So
I mean, to me, that's what makes Cory did was so impressive, is the fact that it's brand new IP.
It's brand new IP, but he's tapping into the community he's built already.
He built because it does come off video game like like with the characters being kind of sci-fi.
True.
So it's not a stretch for his fans to go there with him.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, maybe that's his end goal, to have a video game of his own IP. After so many volumes.
First anime. I know for a fact, anime first.
Oh, well, yeah, obviously. Eventually, video game might be the end goal.
Yeah. So I think a lot of we could sit here and come up with like a bunch, because there's some ideas that I have that I think could work, and we could sit here and ideas, blah blah blah. But I think one of the key things is that consistency, because with that consistency and you giving yourself time to grow and learn, you'll pick up on all the other stuff, right? Because then promotion, if you're talking about from a more traditional standpoint with all the distributors and it's marketing budgets, and they do all the yada 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 yada. That's a much more industry way and approach where they can tap into still some of this social media stuff. Still, a lot of social media comes into play for marketing. So
let me ask y'all this though: do y'all think? Because I'm thinking about like what he did, like kind of in phases, right? So you got him being who he is, right? Mm-hmm. You got the animation that hit. What else? I would say those two things. Those are two big factors, right? If you took out one of those things, do you think it would have worked as well? Like, let's say they didn't have the animation. I think it still would have killed, even without that anime intro.
I think it would have. However, it would have been a lot slower. I think because of the animation, it was kind of like saying like a big announcement, him on a bullhorn saying, "Hey guys, I have this coming out. Keep an eye out for it." And then once he dropped the volume, like obviously everything was cool. Whereas had he just dropped the volume without having anything saying I'm about to do this, I think that
he's saying Fred. Correct me if I'm wrong, Raymond. You're saying everything is the same, so there's still an announcement on this channel.
There's still an announcement. There's still kicks. Everything. There literally was no animation.
The only thing is no animation.
Yeah,
I think it's still a success.
Yeah, me too.
I think it's still. Me too. I think at best maybe you lose a little bit of hype because people were talking about the animation.
I think it would have been slower. Is all I'm saying.
Yeah.
Oh
yeah. I think you lose a little bit of hype, and maybe you lose a couple thousand sales, but like you still do gigantic numbers.
Like I think he could have even probably. I mean, granted, it didn't seem like money was an object for one, but I'm just saying, like he probably could have got away with doing like a motion comic, and it still would have destroyed. Like it still would have did great.
Yeah. But I think the animation maybe added if we're counting things like being very tangible, right? Mm-hmm. I think it added a couple thousand more sales, right? Yeah. Because again, there are people who don't know who Cory is, right?
Sure.
Who bought the book. So it's not just his audience. I think with the less flash and hype, the more it would have just been his audience. Like more people outside would still buy it. But I think the more it would have just been his audience, right? But the animation, the animation studio line out of UK, those are pretty top tier guys. They posted it on their stuff. They have a bunch of people who don't know who Cory is. Right?
Yeah.
And a lot of times they post all these cool animations that they do. But this one is like, hey, this animation, the manga's here. You know what I mean? So I think a couple thousand sales because of it. But do I think it would have still been super successful? Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, yes, it would have still have broken, very respectable numbers. Maybe not 200K in a week. Maybe 150K in a week, or 100K in a week.
I think he definitely
100%.
It definitely would have been a success. I'm just saying it would have been a little slower because I like you said, the animation was what got people that didn't even know him to know about the comic. Like, I mean, I think that was definitely a brilliant move. But yeah, that's just me.
Yeah, people be sharing that video.
Because that's the phenomenon I'm looking at recently is that content creators are like giving content creators something to talk about. That's a whole thing in itself. You know what I mean? Like, like that right there. I mean, the way people were like starting their YouTube channel, people that's been around a long time, they probably that wasn't even on their radar at the point. And then all of a sudden they see all these people talking about this animation. They had to talk about it. They would. Who's going to give up those numbers?
You also factor in that I don't think he hadn't made a video in like a year. So this was like he's back. Oh wait, he's back with what? Oh, so this is why he's not been around. You know what I mean?
That's crazy. That was smart. It was smart all the way around. It was really.
So it was a host of things, and it's very complicated and difficult without that fan base and funding to pull off what he pulled off. So not everybody can do that. Not everybody's going to be able to do that. Even some people with audiences can still fumble that. So
there you go. Why just disappear for like 3 years?
Who?
And then come back. You just disappear for 3 years. And come back and say, "All right, I'm back."
Not
just
with
had the video.
Not with my measly 500K. Like
you'll come back and be 100,000 subscribers.
Not with my measly because even with 500K, right? Again, it's not 500. It's 500K, but not everybody's active. Right.
Right.
And sometimes that activity is not. It's not even their fault all the time. Is that YouTube won't show it to everybody. Mm-hmm. Same thing with all these guys, right? So someone like Cory, who probably has even more active, has more active subscribers. But then it went viral, so it's then because of that, it's going to even show it to more of them.
Right.
So, like, if I did a video that was going more and more viral, then YouTube would show it to more and more of my people, especially, but people beyond that. So, it's unless I'm putting viral stuff if I'm doing my normal videos, it'll do the normal views. It'll do the especially if I leave like Corey and not come back for a year. Oh no, can't do that. So and to a degree, I'm doing that now because we're working on comics. JJ has like a bajillion pages to do in what 2 months, like 2 months. So it's like to do that and then start doing videos. And I don't know about you guys, and that's why I really my manga assistants help a lot. But it's difficult for me to like, oh, I'm doing this comic, and then okay, I'm done with this comic. Now let me go make a video. Like just mentally, it's
a hard switch.
Yeah.
Switch,
now, if I was making videos, video. Okay, now I'm done with this video, and then we go draw manga. It's like, So when I get in a groove of one, I try to make as much as I can in that window before I leave.
Yeah.
No, I get that. I mean, for me, it's crazy because like I also have a day job. Like it's not just social media and stuff like that. So, I mean, luckily, excuse me, my day job is kind of just on the weekend. But on the weekends, like I have no free time. It's like 9:45 a.m. to 10:45 p.m. for 3 days straight. And so like after that, and then on top of that, like obviously, I have a baby. I have 3 dogs. Like I mean, I got a lot of other responsibilities. So trying to juggle everything just essentially leaves me with saying, okay, from 12 to 5 a.m. I have to draw a lot, like in order to get anything actually done and to feel accomplished. So like it's really difficult to like try to juggle all of that and also do social media at the same time. So like I mean, for everybody out there that's trying to, juggle everything but does want to do social media, just know that it's a difficult road for sure. I mean, it can happen and you can definitely do it, and I implore you to have some type of strategy. But I mean, at the same time, just know that like it's not necessarily impossible. It's just gonna be an uphill battle.
Yeah,
so
you need to be prepared for the horror stories for at least like 2 to 5 years.
Yeah. I'll piggyback on what Jay said. I mean, the word is sacrifice, because if you're going to draw comics, there's something you're gonna have to give up. I'll tell you, for me, it was video games. Like video games had to down the cross. Like when I was actually like back when we first got started, we were coming out with Saturday FM, the magazine, every 2 weeks. Like it had to go, because like for me, I definitely want to go be my family for sure. And the video games, and it definitely couldn't be my job, obviously. So the video games for me was that was that one thing that like I would lose 2-3 hours a day or here, whatever, doing it, that I could be devoted to making the manga or drawing pages or whatever. So I don't know what that is. Every person has that thing, but I guarantee you cannot do this without giving up something.
Yeah.
And I definitely, like I said, don't give up your family, don't give up your growth, don't give up these important things in your life. But there's going to be something you're gonna have to sacrifice to make it.
And that's why a lot of the social media stuff is the really, really young people that take off because they got nothing else to do.
That's
what else you do?
Yeah,
that's the time to do.
Oh, you streamed. You're streaming 7 hours. Of course, you stream 7 hours.
Think about it. I think about when I was in my 20s. Like, man, matter of fact, I remember. Yeah, when I was in college, I used to work at EB Games, just turning to GameStop or whatever. Anyway, I worked at a video game store. Dude, I look back, I would put in like 8 hours a day gaming, and still had a job and still had school.
Yeah.
I look back on my life, I'm like, how did I pull that off? 24 hours a day, and I got to sleep 8 of them. But how did I pull off 8 hours of gaming? I don't know. But
what were you playing? What were you playing?
Everything, dude. Well, I'm a big RPG head, so like I was playing like anything that was an RPG and fighting games. Those are 2 games I played.
Oh, okay.
Fighting games and RPGs.
Okay, don't worry.
Yeah. Even now, like I'm hooked on Marvel Rivals. Like I'm addicted to that game.
Oh really?
But oh yeah, it's bad. Like whenever I have like time off, yeah, it sucks, man. I need to uninstall it.
We'll give you a game to play soon.
Yeah, you got to uninstall that game.
Yeah, don't worry. Give you a game to play soon.
Ruining my life.
So, guys, that is it. Y'all can leave your thoughts on the whole Corey thing, or just IP, or just being an artist in 2025, and how that has completely changed compared to, I don't know, 2009 or something like that. It's mad different, right? And maybe you guys should share your thoughts in the comments. Please like the video if you guys enjoyed the conversation, and subscribe to the channel as well. We're going to be doing more of these. But you guys have any last thoughts before we skedaddle?
Yeah, I mean, you know, it's a rough game, you know, drawing manga, comics, you know, whatever you want to call it. It's definitely not easy. You know, it's fun and it can be rewarding, but I mean, you know, it's definitely something that you know, takes a lot of time, especially when it comes to the promotion of it all. You know, it takes a lot of planning, it takes a lot of strategy. So, you know, definitely think about what you want to do, and, you know, try your hardest. Don't give up. You know, this is why I said in like one of the last podcast episodes we had, you know, try to do something really simple and easy, like do like one chapter at a time, or like just do one book. Don't do an entire series, you know, like, you know, really limit yourself so that way, you know, okay, I have a feeling for this. But yeah, I mean, you know, it's difficult, but, you know, one step at a time, you know, just, you know, you can make it happen. Just don't give up.
Right.
Same, man. That's a lot. I don't got anything to add to that.
Yeah.
Just, and get started. That's the thing I was saying. You know, I know we're talking about a lot of different things here, but at the end of the day, if you're new at this and you really you think it's something you want to pursue, start drawing them pages. Don't worry about being perfect or getting it all right. Just do it.
Yeah, just start Nike, right? And you learn over time, and then you just limit the scope. Don't try to do too much. Just start though, and starting, no matter how it is, even if it's just writing the stuff or doing character design, that's still to some degree starting, right? And start, at least give yourself a milestone for something that you can actually finish, and then look at and learn from that experience, and, you know, stuff that we talked about before, and you just kind of build upon it, and be prepared to be consistent, and consistently getting nothing out of it, no rewards for at least 2-3 years, because that's how it's going to be. Okay, that's how it's going to be.
Yep.
I don't make the rules.
Oh, you got to be, man. That can't be real. 2 years.
I can't make
2 years.
I can't make them. Even on YouTube, like before you get a penny from YouTube, unless you get a lucky big video or something like that, you're not getting anything out of that.
Come on, man. You can't be serious. You're not 2 years.
You're not getting jack out of that. So at least be prepared. I'm not saying it's going to take that long, right? Some people get lucky, but I'm saying mentally be prepared for it. There was a girl on Twitch who she streamed every day, constantly. Like, the stream never ends. Do you know what I mean? For years, the stream does not end, right? And I don't know how many years, but I know it was a long time. Like Christmas, Valentine's Day, that she is streaming. Like, the stream does not end. I don't know if I'm not exaggerating at all, right?
Stream herself sleeping?
I believe so, actually. I believe so, right? I believe so. There are people who stream, some of the big streamers, they're streaming themselves sleeping all the time and get like thousands of dollars. That's normal. So but she's not big. She wasn't big, right? So this is just like constantly believing in your, you know, eventually maybe she got like, I don't even know, like I think 100, 200, this for years, but 200 people watching her stream, I think that was a big deal. Like I just know she was not a big streamer, right? But one day, they told one of the bigger streamers, like a Kai, right, in his stream, and he was like, he didn't believe it, so he went to her stream, and then told people to follow. You know what I mean? And then,
blew up.
That's being prepared. That's being ready for luck, man.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
Prepared meets opportunity, luck.
Exactly, right? Because what she was doing was so out, like she's breaking some kind of record. I wonder if I pull her, if I can't remember her name, but if I pull her up right now, she's probably straight. You know what I mean? I pull her up right now, she's probably. So when they told him, he didn't even know who she was, so it was like, no way, you know. And so he sent his followers there. They eventually did a stream kind of thing together, kind of like this, like a chat. So she got a lot of love for that. And then just the idea of streaming constantly is kind of unique in itself. So she's gonna have a community for life now. Like she already had, but now it probably 10x. You know what I mean? So yeah,
she can have a problem with consistency. That's for sure.
Yeah, so be prepared to eat L's for 2, 3, maybe even 10 years. Not saying it's going to be that, but be prepared for it. You know what I mean? Because some people after 6 months they don't get anything and maybe they quit. You know what I'm saying? So that's really all I'm saying. But yeah, that's it, guys. And you guys can leave your thoughts on that as well and leave that in the comments. But thank you guys.
Hello.
Thank you guys for showing up to the chat. You guys can let us know in the comments what topics you want us to cover for the next episodes. It's What Manga, Saturday AM, Raymond, Jay.